Hey, what's up, everyone? You're currently tuned into TBD on KCSB FM 91.9 in Santa Barbara and netnetradio.com, Tijuana. Today, Lietoc and I are joined by Philadelphia MIDI jazz enthusiast Andy Loebs. In 2022, they released Flexuous Vertex on Orange Milk Records, and their latest Hyperlink Anamorphosis is available as the latest title on Jolt Records. How you doing, Andy?
I'm doing great. Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Dude, thanks so much for joining us. We're super stoked to have you on the show.
That's awesome.
So last night you were at the Philadelphia 100 Gex Machine Girl gig. Thoughts on the performance, the show?
Yes, it was awesome. I unfortunately missed most of Machine Girl, and I think they played really only like 15 minutes. Is what I
really?
heard.
Wow, that's short.
Goodness.
Yeah, maybe some tech. I don't know what happened, but I only caught like one song. But Gex was amazing. Yeah, it was great.
That's sick.
Sold out show. Ton of people.
Awesome. I don't think I've ever seen 100 Gex or Machine Girl, actually. It would be sick to see both of them at some point.
Both great live. Yeah, really fun. Really like just super smiling the whole time.
So sick. You also, I believe, just played Julia's Warfest. How was that?
I did. Yeah, I played last the first night, which was like a lot of bands were doing battle sets.
I saw that, dude. I was curious what that was. Like, what's that about?
Yeah, it was really fun. And then I just played like a 20-minute set at the very end. Nice. But it was outdoors behind this warehouse that a bunch of bands practice in Philly.
Oh, nice.
And it's right next to this like train yard. So there were like passenger trains going by like every couple minutes next to us while we were playing, which was really cool.
That sounds kind of insane.
I love playing like outdoor kind of like random spots like that. So
that's cool.
That sounds chill.
Julia's Warfest.
Was there any, so the ultimate victory in your battle is just yourself?
Yeah, I just battled myself. Yeah. The inner battle.
Yeah, right. Julia's Warfest seems so sick. If I live closer, I would definitely try to go to that. Like so many bands and artists that like I'm just super into play that. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was awesome. A ton of homies on the bill, and also it was cool. I think last year it was a lot more shoegaze bands, which is definitely like the Philly vibe.
Yeah, but
this year it felt pretty eclectic as far as like genre and style and everything. So I was stoked to be on. Yeah,
it's awesome. Well, besides, I guess those shows and like music and stuff, do you have any new hobbies or like what's been up for you in 2023 so far? Like anything cool?
Being really busy with music and being like really blessed with being offered a ton of shows. Mm-hmm. I've already played like 20 something shows this year.
Wow, that's crazy.
In various projects, but so that's nuts. But yeah, I just moved to Philly about 2 years ago. So I feel like I'm really just kind of feeling like I actually live here and like I'm part of the music scene. And like, it's been really nice. Yeah. This year has been pretty, like I turned 30 in January, and I feel like since then it has just been like nonstop playing really great gigs. Yeah.
That's cool, dude. I'm happy. That's
been the biggest thing. Yeah. I've been watching a lot of movies this year. That's something I didn't really do last year. But I don't know if I have any new hobbies. Yeah.
Is there a strong like cinema scene? Are you going out there, or are you just like staying?
I'm just like watching movies at home. Like, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sick. What's one of your favorites you've watched this year so far?
Spy Kids 2, The Island of Lost Dreams.
Classic.
And
we got some heaters here. Whoa.
And the first two Twilight movies I had never actually seen before.
First Twilight is really shockingly competent.
Yo, it was awesome. I honestly loved it.
I saw that when it came out. So don't I know what you mean. Absolutely insane film.
I still have never seen it, but my girlfriend keeps saying we gotta watch it. So
yeah,
it was the
really
Twilight
good.
franchise is remarkable because as they go on, they get more over the top insane.
Yes, that's what I heard.
The last two truly are some of the most overwrought filmmaking, but it's so much fun.
Yes. That's what I'm about. Yeah.
That's so sick.
I think it encapsulates an era that I think that when all that stuff was coming out, I was like in high school and I was way too cool for that. And now I like love all the cheesy pop music and like lame movies like that from that era. And I'm like, oh wait, why did I not like this stuff? It's so good.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I'm like listening to Kesha a lot and like
so dope.
Watching Twilight.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's sick, dude. I did recently, we were watching, I guess this is from that era, like when vampires were like a thing, but do you ever watch that show, Vampire Diaries? Like, have you ever seen that one? I think that's like,
should I check it out?
Yeah, it's like a TV show. It's like a similar vibe, similar era from like when all that stuff is like super popular.
It's got some good reviews.
Dude, it was surprisingly very intense. Like my girlfriend was watching it and I just like sat down and I was like, dude, this isn't like just passing by. Like, all right, I'm gonna sit down. This is insane. Like, what is this? You know?
Yes.
But CW shows had some ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, though, so Andy, you've been involved in DIY for quite some time now, with releases involving you dating back to like over a decade on like Ingrown Records and more. What kind of guided you towards DIY, and like how did you like get your start? Like what has changed over the past decade with regards to like scenes you found yourself in? And yeah, just tell us about like your DIY beginnings.
Good questions. So my older brothers were both involved in a lot of like kind of DIY punk and like rock bands in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is like, I'm from around there.
Sick.
So I actually had gone to some DIY like punk shows when I was like 7 or something.
Wow.
Because, you know, that was just like what my brothers were doing. So my brother's band, just like a punk band, practiced in my bedroom, like, cause we shared a room. And so there were like instruments in there. So I would just play around sometimes. And when I was 9, I started a band with another kid that went to my school that was like, just like 3-chord punk stuff.
Yeah, that's sick.
But we just started playing like, you know, not maybe like a couple shows a year or something, and just always had bands in high school and stuff like that too. But it was not really part of like too much of a scene. And then I moved to Asheville, North Carolina, where I lived for about 10 years, until I moved to Philly. And there, I guess I just, I found out that people were like releasing music on cassettes, and that there was like this whole experimental music scene, and, you know, was also getting deeper into like prog rock and jazz fusion and like that Japanese like J-pop stuff. And and then I don't know, I guess it just sort of all, I felt like I feel like there's never really been quite a scene that I have felt like I totally fit into in person. It's more been like online,
like internet scene type stuff.
Yeah, totally. And but I think Philly has felt like some cool, even though there's not exactly anyone doing quite what I'm doing here, it's like, it's fine because everyone's sort of open to a lot of different things here. So it just felt, you know, I've never really lived in a big city like this before. So it's also just more people and more variety of stuff than in Asheville. But yeah, I would say, I don't know. Yeah, sorry. I think like I kind of got away from the question.
No, you're good. I guess like
there's so many tangents to go off.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I guess like when you know, you started like discovering like experimental, just like, you know, weird music put on cassettes, like all that stuff, like what was kind of catching your eye at the time? Like any like major like labels that you were kind of paying attention to? Or
I mean, you know, Orange Milk definitely is like the big mind blower, I think, for me, because I had already been into some noise stuff and I was kind of like, this is cool, but I really like playing music, and my background is in playing in bands and stuff. So I was like, how can I take this like abstraction of music, like noise does, and then like also my love for like pop hooks and like jazz music and stuff like that. And I think I heard some Orange Milk stuff in like 2015. And it really caught that, like what I was looking for, because it sort of had this like prog rock ethos of like shifting certain releases.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think at the same time, I've always really been into old music more than a lot of my peers.
Yeah.
So, like Yellow Magic Orchestra, Todd Rundgren.
Oh, for sure.
Yes. Like just like
You had your
bands
Harold Budd shirt on over there.
Yes, Harold Budd and Brian, my friend Andrew Smith
gotta get my
made this.
There, yeah, fuck yeah.
And the back says best friends making ambient music forever.
Dude, that's so sick.
Yeah.
Bryn. We interviewed Bryn ages ago, and he's opening for
I just met him about a week ago.
Oh, really?
I was at the Caroline Polachek show, and he's drumming for George Clanton.
Yeah.
Yes. George Clanton is doing a show at Soma here out in San Diego. And Bryn
is he opening?
He's opening, and he did a bunch of John Hassel shirts.
Yes, I saw him wearing one of those on Instagram, and I was like, yo.
I picked it up and wore that to Big Ears' lovely shirt.
Yes, I was at Big Ears as well.
Oh, were you really? That's sick.
We would have met. Yeah. I was only there for Sunday. So just the one day, but
that's sick. Weren't you there for the whole weekend, man?
You catch on Sunday.
I mean, I was really there to see Kate NV and One O Tricks Point Never.
Whoa. It feels like we literally probably did run into each other.
I think that you were talking to some of my friends as I walked into the room, and then you may have walked away as I came to sit down. Yeah. Did you talk to Cole? Did you talk to Cole Kilgo, who does Terry Tapes?
Yes, because that was some of the stuff I knew we were going to get into, is that you had those early Terry Tapes releases. And
yes, Cole's my one of my best friends in the whole world. Yeah, that's my homie.
So sick.
They were from North Carolina, Asheville area. So, whoa. Okay.
Yes, we were roommates. Yeah.
Dang.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah.
But Kate and V almost stole Big Ears, I will say. It was
awesome.
I'm excited to see what The Wire says about it, or if anybody does, I might have to write a little something. But the acts that were doing electronic music, and it was just playing with the synthesizer or something, having the most fun. The sound that they were getting was some of the best. Couldn't believe they did that for K. Couldn't believe they did that for One O Tricks.
Yeah, it sounded amazing in that theater room. Yeah, I had a blast, and then I caught the John Zorn Cobra set at the very end.
Wow, that's sick.
And also this lady Shara Nova, I think was her name, and this small orchestral ensemble. It was at the the tinier theater. Anyway, I had a great time at Big Ears. It was awesome.
Big Ears rips. I'm saying, Thomas, you got to go back next year with me this time. It's worth it.
I want to, dude. I feel like I just have recently found out about what Big Ears is from you, Maddie. But yeah, I want to go, dude. Looks sick.
Oh yeah. So where do we go?
Yeah, we were just talking about stuff that you're into, and you were saying just older music and stuff. You're talking about your shirt.
Were you into tiny mixtapes? Were you following the site?
So one of my other best friends, who also lived with Cole from Terry Tapes and I, is Alex Brown, who wrote for TMT. So I was more aware of it from the standpoint of my roommate wrote for Chocolate Grinder a lot.
Whoa.
But I definitely found some cool music through there. Yeah.
Dude, that's so sick.
I respect that.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
That hustle.
Yeah, totally. Shout out.
Chocolate Grinder was just all about, in case people don't know, that was literally just daily updates on just random things that are happening, new track drops, random cassettes, random digitals, and that was a big way people got coverage.
What was Chocolate Grinder? It was like a segment in the Tiny Mixtapes.
Yeah, on
Tiny
Mixtapes,
a feature.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
A feature with its own little zone, and I don't know if the site ever had RSS, but it was totally made for that.
Yeah, that's sick.
That was really the one it would run well for.
That's cool. Maddie, do you want to go into this question right here? It says,
So, in this time that you've kind of been recording over the past decade, is there any major gear that you've thrifted, or major gear that has become essential to the sound you're doing? Anything that you wish you could have ever had at one point in time, or that you still want?
Yeah, I would say this. It's right here with me. The Korg Electribe 2. Incredibly pivotal to my sound.
That's sick.
And just to even to the way that I approach Ableton, which I got like 2.5 years ago. I started making music on the DAW. Yeah, and now like my setup is just like a combination of the two. As far as stuff that I wish I had, not really. Like honestly, what I wish I had was just like a studio space and nice mics to where I could record. Like I really, you know how some parts of my songs have these like crazy fake band sounds? It'll go to like fake rock band sounds.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Yep.
I really want to have that like be real instruments because I play bass and guitar and drums and all this stuff. So
that'd be sick.
What I really want
is important for fire tool stuff. Angel,
yes, exactly.
She was like, okay, I'm doing my drums now, and that was really big.
Oh, and she's an incredible drummer.
Yeah.
She's been drumming since she was a kid, you know. And you can tell I really love the way that like drummers program electronic music. I think it's really, it always sticks out to me. But yeah, Angel actually mastered the 2 albums that my old band Space Heater did.
That's sick.
Yeah. So and that was kind of like a band that I sort of led and played drums in and wrote like quite a bit of the material for so more like prog rock fusion stuff.
Nice.
Would you say like that was like I guess like your, I don't know, band that you played with the most at that time or when you're coming up?
Yeah, that for about 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, that was kind of like my main project. And then the pandemic started and we just kind of stopped playing. And I was like, okay, well, I have to keep making crazy. like I have all these ideas, so
yeah,
that's when I got Ableton and kind of really started taking my like solo music a little more seriously. And then moving to Philly, it's like really just sort of snowballed.
That's sick. So when you guys were like playing in your band and stuff, were you guys like heavy on like touring and like doing releases and all that?
We never toured.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we never got to tour. Yeah.
This is all just a studio project.
We played quite a bit in Asheville and in the Carolinas, but we never played. We never did a tour. I've never actually toured my own music. I've toured quite a bit in like other people's bands, just being like the drummer or the bass player. But I've never actually toured the Andy Loebs stuff.
Oh, dude. Well,
wait a second. Maybe but what about this cassette over here then that you did?
Yeah. Yo, shut up. That's all live music. I mean, it's all live recordings from a bunch of shows in Philly, a couple shows I did in New York, just like one-offs. And then some friends of mine had me out in Denver, Colorado for like a week, and I played a show there in the fall.
Oh,
so
sick.
There's one or two songs from that show as well.
So I guess we'll talk about that release quickly here, but
sure, yeah.
Just so did you go in kind of with that intention of like, I'm going to record this, do all these live recordings?
I just have the computer with, it's like my studio is just at every show.
Yeah.
So why not hitting record is just like I started to hit play because I wanted to keep track of how long I had been playing. And every once in a while I'll have like a, some samples in the background that are like just in the project file. But, then I just started hitting record and then I was like, oh, this sounds great. Even if the sound system at the venue or wherever I'm playing sounds like really bad, like my recording's going to sound awesome. And there's just all this like, energy of playing a live show that I just can't get in, in my living room or whatever.
That's crazy.
Okay, so it's like a different take on the studio session almost in your case. That's how you're kind of looking at it?
I wasn't really thinking about it too hard, honestly. And then Jolt, who put the record out, just contacted me. It's like ran by my friend Helly. And she just hit me up and was like, hey, we want to do a tape. Do you have anything ready? And I sent them a few projects that were like kind of half baked. And one of them was like hey, I have all these brand new songs I just wrote that I recorded live. And that was this album. So
that's sick. And so that was Jolt that released that tape. That's the one we were talking about. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Sick.
Yep. Yeah. Based in New York. Yeah.
Helly actually.
Was that an inaugural release of theirs? Was that the inaugural? Or
they've done a couple digital releases, and they did one other tape before this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Helly had sent an email to me. I guess they came across like TBD at some point, and they like reached out, and they actually reached out about like your release. Yeah. And that's how I like found your name. And I saw the email honestly like over like maybe a month and a half after they sent it, just because like Gmail like sorts your emails all weird. You know what I mean?
It's bizarre. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I just don't see a lot of stuff that I get sent. And anyways, I saw this, and then I saw your name, and I responded, and I was like, yo, sorry, like I missed this, but thanks so much for reaching out. And then I started seeing your name in like all these places, like, you know, Orange Milk and then Julia's War. And I was like, dude, what the heck? Like this person just like popped up out of nowhere. This is so cool. But anyways, shout out Helly for making me.
Yes, absolutely. Shout out Helly.
Yeah.
Shout out Helly. Well, we'll get. Oh crap! Where the hell are we going?
Well, we were talking about just like gear and stuff, but I guess we could also like move into this question right here. It says, what sparked your move away from releasing music through like the middle and the end of like the 2010s, and what inspired you to start like releasing like Terry tape stuff?
What was the first part of the question again?
So there's like a noticeable gap, kind of at least on your Discogs, between 2014 to 2019, where
is there?
Don't have something, but I'm wondering, are there any recordings from that time, or were you just kind of incognito?
There were a lot.
Well, see,
but yeah,
don't believe what they tell you out there.
Yeah, basically like the early stuff was all like really turned up noise, like pretty lo-fi, like harsh, non-linear, like
and was that on the Korg that you were using, or was it a different piece?
This was like a bunch of random shit. It would be like borrowed gear, like running Casio keyboards through loopers and like kind of like mishmash, like no budget recording, like DIY tape label stuff. And then I kind of like needed to move away from that. And and then I did some solo stuff like the Terry Tapes release. And then that kind of sparked starting the band Space Heater. And I feel like I really focused on that band a lot. But there was a lot of stuff that was on my Bandcamp page from about 2018 till now. A lot of it I have made private because I just don't feel like it needs to be on the internet anymore. But the good stuff is still up there. I guess it's just not on Discogs because I sort of like gave up on financing my own like physical releases for a long time.
Yeah, I feel that.
Because it's just, I don't know. I just wasn't doing it, you know? And so I would say the shift, there is definitely a big shift from that early stuff like a decade ago. Way more harsh, no cares about fidelity at all. Like just figuring out how to like have no rules, which I think is super pivotal and important for me. But
for sure.
But now I definitely would hope to just have that be like one element of what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Sweet.
But it's all linear, you know. If you could hear it all, which I hope that no one ever has to do that. But if you could hear it all, it would make I think it would make a lot of sense, like where I'm at now.
Yeah.
So when did you get the Korg? What year was that?
This one I got in 2019, but I had a Korg Electribe EM1, like the OG, like synth and drums combo one. I got that in 2017 from my bestie Jake, who plays music as Splashblade.
Sick.
Which is really fire stuff that you should check out. But I bought it from them. And then I was pushing the limits of that, and then I bought this one, and I love it.
That's cool.
They're really funny. Yeah, they're really funny instruments.
What makes them so funny?
All the sounds are just really funny. I bought this one thinking it was the sampler, but someone, I guess, had reformatted it. So it's actually
really?
the synth, and and my return policy was already gone by the time I realized it, and I was like, well, whatever. So just tweaking a ton of crazy sounds that are in here. You know, they have all the like, hey.
Oh, really?
and like MIDI trumpet, you know,
yeah,
like funny brass samples and stuff, orchestra hits. So,
dude, that's sick.
I love that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So then, how do you make a kind of a song out of that limitation? So does it still have any sampler capability there? Do you do the sequencing, or?
Oh yeah, it's just a ton of sequencing, a ton of automation, programming stuff, just really tweaking like every element of each sound, and then kind of like, yeah, sort of acting like a mixer, like bringing in different parts of the thing, I guess, like you would with Ableton Push or something like that on here. And then I still use like Ableton Live with the MIDI keyboard too to have cool. Sampling actual samples going on there. So yeah.
Ooh, that sounds good. That'd be fun for. So when you were doing this little tour, you didn't have like again a ton of gear that really you needed to bring or a ton of stuff you had to prep, but it was
it all fits in a backpack.
That's sick.
Yeah, I'm really into that. I don't have a car, so it's like, you know, I need to be able to be on the go. So it's just, you know, the Electribe, a MIDI controller, and my laptop and an interface. You know, so it's really all like small. I like that, like small and versatile and powerful. Like I would love to get even smaller of a setup and just have like the most variety and control, but with like a tiny like cheap gear. That's kind of what I like.
Dude, minimalist. I feel like that's like how you really like show that, I don't know, you have skill at least, maybe. I don't know if you know how to use what you have, I guess, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I kind of come from that. Like, you know, like I would always get like I'm super fortunate to have had this like music in my family. So I would get like my brother's old drum set, but it'd be like a total beat up, like a beater kit. But that was my kit, you know, so it was better than nothing. And I was lucky to have anything. And I feel like I learned or was trying to make a crummy drum set sound good. So I feel like just sort of taking that like punk ethos into, you know, this like funny electronic music world.
I love to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's so much expensive gear out there that sounds incredible and I wish I could have it. But also like, do I want to take a $5,000 synth setup into like this basement where there's like,
for sure,
you know, beer getting spilled everywhere? Like, no, I don't want that. I want something that's like durable, giggable, like cheap. If it breaks, it's not the end of the world. I can get another, like, you know, knock on wood. I don't want anything to break, but like, you know.
I noticed that like, especially with like noise and stuff, like noise almost comes from like a hardcore background almost. Do you know what I mean? Like a hardcore, like punk background. And like, I've noticed there's like kind of like a separation between like noise and just like, I don't know, the more like computer experimental type stuff that, you know, Orange Milk does and whatnot.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like interesting to hear like you coming from a punk background and like going into like noise and stuff. Cause I feel like it totally like makes sense. You know, I don't know.
Oh, I think it all makes sense.
Yeah.
I think like the older I get too, the more I'm just like, oh, I just need to make whatever I like. And like, I want to just like a lot of different kinds of music. So why should it just be in one little pocket? It's never going to fit even if I try. So I should just do like what comes natural to me.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, which is I'm not like super educated. So I don't fit into the super academic computer world, but I also don't want to make like harsh noise walls anymore. Yeah. I still think that's cool, but that's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
So I don't really fit into that. I'm not a punk band. I'm not a rock band. You know, my music's not quite danceable enough to be techno. It's not pop music enough, but it's too pop for noise.
Yeah.
It's closer to like a Carl Stone type thing.
Totally. Which I think is great. Like it almost makes me feel like I could do anything I want and it would be fine.
So, because you were talking that you like are interested in older music currently, what type of stuff does that include? Like downtown composer stuff, or?
I guess in the more like in that corner, it'd be like ECM Records.
Oh, sick.
You know that? Yeah, like
we got some ECM over here.
Oh yeah, is that some Gary Burton and what's that one? Oh, Keith Jarrett? Yeah.
Jarrett, and we got First House, which is Django Bates, Mick Hutton, Martin France.
Oh, I don't know that one.
I've got also some Robert Baddick. I've got some of the John. I've got my stuff.
My favorite is Ralph Towner.
Great stuff.
Oh yeah, is that the Pat Metheny group first?
Yes.
Yeah, dude. First two songs on that are like goals for me. It's so beautiful.
Sick. I have found these albums for like $1 at library bookstores and stuff. Big shout out.
Oh yeah, and shout out Pat Metheny. That's one of my biggest influences for sure.
So sick.
So you gotta have a Pat Metheny phase.
I need to, dude.
Oh yeah, hit me up. I got you.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
What were you saying though? You were talking about an artist that you like.
Oh yeah, there's this guy Ralph Towner, who is a ECM guitar player. He does a lot of like 12-string and nylon string. I would say more so than like the downtown composer stuff. It would be more inspired by. Oh, dude, yes.
Static is so. I found this at a meetup for like $1.
Oh, that's amazing. Do you know the record Solstice?
I've only probably heard the title, but
you should. I cannot recommend Ralph Towner Solstice enough. And then check out everything that all 4 of the people on that album did. And it's just incredible.
So
some of the best stuff I've ever heard.
So sometime last year, somebody put on eBay an ECM cassette lot of like 40 mint condition copies just all over the place. Sold for about 150. But it was a good lot in the end in terms of the variety. Some new series stuff, but I didn't recognize any Meredith Monk or Steve Reich. But it just made me remember like there's a whole label world with like hundreds of random releases. From some guys.
Yep.
And they're pretty good. The quality level is like always about a 7, if not a 10.
Yeah. Totally.
Never dove into too much ECM stuff, but you guys are hyping it up. I guess I'm gonna have to at some point.
Yeah.
Shout out ECM.
Yeah, shout out ECM.
Maddie, do you want to take us into this next area down here?
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess talking about a little bit earlier about trying to fit your music into a category or stuff. 2022, you did release this really incredible release on Orange Milk, Flexuous Vertex, and
thank you.
It's quintessential. I'm curious, how did you get in contact with Keith there for all of that? What was that like?
I have been I've been a huge fan for a long time, so I've been super aware of like what Keith was doing for a long time. But Keith and Seth, shout out both of them.
Oh yeah,
the homies. Yeah, I guess what really happened was like I saw this there was this like Twitch festival called Emerald Valley, and I saw that on Instagram, and I checked out the Twitch show, and I was like, oh, this is sick. It's a bunch of kind of like from the Orange Milk to hyper pop spectrum artists and DJs and stuff. And so I was like, okay, cool. I'm checking this out. And then they posted a thing that was like, who wants to be on the next one? And I sent them my music. And the person, my friend Umberto, who plays music as Princess Ketamine, got me on the bill. And then when it got announced, I didn't realize, but Giant Claw was playing, and I was like, oh my God.
Oh.
And so Keith saw my set there. And then we kind of talked a little bit after that. And then basically I made a lot of the Flexuous Vertex album, like new music for that set. Like half of the album is like that.
Nice.
From that performance. So then I guess I had like finished the album, and I sent it to Angel from Fire Tools, and was like, where does where does this belong? Like, who puts out music like this? Because I think this is, the best thing I've ever done. And I just like, I just feel like some label, even if no one's heard of them, would be into this, maybe. And she was like, if you don't email this to Keith right now, I am going to be so mad at you. And I was like, okay. I was like, okay. Cause I didn't have like, I don't know. I'm just like, I'm shy in that way. I'm like intimidated by people, but so I sent it to Keith. And I had seen that Orange Milk was like, sorry, this is a really long-winded answer.
No, you're good.
I had seen that
I am so down for it. Please do not.
Cool. Feel free to edit this or whatever. But I saw that Orange Milk had their roster was like full for the year, like no longer accepting demos for 2022. And I was like, cool, no problem. I'm just going to send it to Keith. I'm not going to ask him to release it. I'm just going to say, I just was like, hey, Angel told me I needed to send this to you. I know your roster is full. So like, I'm not asking that, but just, do you know anywhere that would put this out? I know you guys work with other labels sometimes. And like, you would just have a scope on who puts out like MIDI, like cartoon prog, techno or whatever the hell this is. And he responded back with like, we love the album. Would you want to do a tape with us later in the year?
That's so sick.
And I was just like, whoa, yes. Amazing. And then I already had artwork done by my friend Adrian Wright, who plays music as Goo Age.
Oh, nice.
And Orange Milk was doing a Goo Age album already. So I think the fact that like Keith and Adrian had already been working on the layout and plans for his album, that like mine being sort of like they came out the same day.
No, it was part of the batch as well.
The batch, with Blood's Boy.
Yes, which that was the Superior
Claire and
collab they had done that year. I felt I wrote a big piece in Tabs Out about the three when they came out.
Yes. Thank you so much for doing that. I really appreciate that.
Was again really blown away because a lot like Hasu Mountain had slowed down during the pandemic and they'd like kind of settled into their own thing. Orange Milk was being really sporadic about tapes, but the batch seemed to signal like they were back. They were really focused on the format. But with the Goo Age one.
Oh, that tape is amazing.
All of our everything really connected there to me and felt strong. But Keith had months prior, I think, when he was starting to brainstorm the batch, he had come up with Goo Core and had that as the Goo Core batch. And I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that labeling, because it felt like an extension of the Noah Krzyzewski stuff they had put out. And
oh wow, thank you. Yeah.
And when they saw the label, and like I've always compared them to ECM as well, so I like our American version of ECM. So I've just always been big on what the label's done. I think there's like
that's great
to it.
Keith and I have nerded out about ECM and wondered how we could get on there before.
That's
so that's great. They're definitely fans of that stuff too.
Okay, good. He gets it.
I was so honored to be in the list of that because I mean I think it makes sense, but also, to just be like listed amongst a bunch of my like heroes and like people who really inspire me and friends of mine too were in the list. It was really cool. So
for sure, I
was just thankful to be there. I'm just hyped to be along for the ride.
Yeah,
that's so
beautiful.
Sick.
And again, is there anything crazy about working with Orange Milk? It's just the acknowledgement of like, hey, we're doing this one run of tapes. Did they get you any of those gigs that you ended up doing between the couple states?
They were amazing to work with, and it was like so chill and like mellow. Our communication and everything was just very, they're just really. I'm not used to working with, label, like most of the labels I work with are run by like friends of mine,
like
which
a friend
now
or something. Yeah.
Keith and Seth are my friends, but it's like, it came about through working with them that I really got to like know them a little more. But no, they didn't really book me any shows, but I will definitely say that having that name next to your name gives you an ounce of credibility that, I certainly didn't have before. Not that I'm trying to like abuse that or whatever, but it makes, it's like music. I had already made the record, it would have come out and no one would have heard it had it not come out with them, but it would have been the same music. So, yeah.
Sick.
And then I guess going back, because again, the follow-up here, Hyperlink, is just as equally wonderful. And
thank you.
I've had a total blast with it and ended up really vibing with what it was going for.
That's so cool to hear. Yeah.
There's the beautiful piece in the Quietus as well about the guy who is clearly getting it. Again, I know we talked a bit about Kate and V with this.
Yes.
But just again, like where is kind of like what is the songwriting composition? This feels so very automatic and very like of the moment and novel, and I love that. I'm just curious to how you go about there.
Like my songwriting process?
Ever so slightly.
Yeah, just like vibing.
Perfect.
Love to hear it, dude.
I respect.
Just like sitting right here. And just kind of like just playing around until something catches my ear. And I take my iPhone a lot and just stick it places and record, whether it's me like scratching the drum head or like playing my guitar or walking around outside or it's raining out, just whatever, like, and I process a lot of those samples like that are just from my life. And I think that has been a really fun way to kind of like springboard some ideas, but yeah, really just trying to like play around and like until playing with stuff until it excites me. And like, it's not super thought out. Like the process just sort of happens. And like, I think for me, I kind of like throw a lot of stuff down. And I like to think of it of like peeling back layers and like, yeah. So, you're just kind of like playing with almost like, setting up. I like to like set up stuff that I don't know exactly where it's going to go, but I can like play around and I know that it's like having a toy, a sandbox or something and putting like 4 toys that you really like in there. You don't know what you're going to do with them, but you know that they're these toys in there.
Yeah.
Again, you're sequencing it to certain keys or sample.
Oh yeah.
Or there, and it's becoming your own little piano and you're preparing it. It's beautiful.
Totally. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
So sick. Well, Maddie, I think that does it for our questions, but we got some listener questions here.
Here we go.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Are you ready to take this?
Sure. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So this first one says, where do you think you would be without the internet?
Oh God. I don't know. Not in Philadelphia. That is for sure. Probably like playing rock music in like the small town that I grew up in or something like that. I don't know. God, where would I be with that? I'm such a product of the internet. I'm like from the MySpace generation. That was like middle and high school for me. So I don't know.
I forget that. Yeah, we've talked to people who was like 120 minutes was their generation. We've talked to people who have come out a little bit more recently. But the MySpace generation is a really interesting gap there.
It is, definitely.
Yes. Yeah, I think if it weren't for the internet, I'd probably, I don't know, be probably still playing music, but it would probably be more like, rock or punk. I would have never found out about like, anything super bizarre.
It's crazy. Yeah. Like I feel like in terms of like at least just like weird music or like experimental, I don't know, computer music and whatever we want to call it, like all of it is like really like a product of the internet. You know what I mean? Like if it wasn't for like Bandcamp, like so many of these like tape labels would not have a following, or they might maybe locally, but they wouldn't expand further than like the city that they're in really. You know what I mean? Because everything is it's so niche, like,
and even like having an obsession with like 70s music, you know, I would never have been able to just be like, oh, I'm going to Wikipedia. Yes. Okay. They're in a genre called prog rock. Yeah. Okay. What's prog rock? I'm going to look at everything that they list as the 10 most famous prog rock albums. Oh, some of these are kind of jazz fusion. What's jazz fusion? Like clicking on YouTube links. And I mean, I feel like so much of my taste in like what shape means just like clicking on a cool album cover or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, that looks sick. What's that?
That's a good way of going.
That's definitely how like I got into like music too. At least like when I first was in like high school or something, and I found like my parents' record collection. That's kind of like, you know, the internet was like researching like, what was this band? You know what I mean? Like, what was this record? Like finding more about them. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, even in terms of that, it's like,
because you can find out. You know, I always loved looking at like liner notes. On CDs and stuff before I got into the internet or whatever. And I think it's really just like an extension of that. I'm also like a total dork for, you know, looking up the credits and knowing who's on what record and stuff. So like with old stuff, especially. So I spent way too much time on the internet.
I brought it up in a bunch of these. I read a bunch of library CDs, and it's really nice when you get the liner notes with them just to be able to play. And just go in there with the knowledge from the internet you have and run the joint. Or take that to the swap meet table and rack up like 14 CDs for $1 a piece.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love CDs. I love tapes. And I love like, I have a bunch. I love physical media too. And I think like, right now my tape player is broken. So I've been really vibing on a lot of CDs.
How do you feel about like the CD resurgence that like we're starting to experience right now?
I think it's sick.
It definitely is. Yeah. Do you follow Doom Trip Records?
Yeah,
or tapes?
I do. Yeah.
Do you follow his Twitter? I love the like pro CG propaganda that he's always posting. It's so funny. It kills me.
I like it too. Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, it's so funny. Anyways, all right. This next question says, Andy, what is your favorite restaurant in Philly?
Love restaurant.
God, who asked that? Fuwa. It's this banh mi spot that's like a block away from my house, and I go there all the time. I went there today. I went there yesterday.
Awesome.
Went there last week. You know,
dude. If I go to Philly, I'm gonna try it out. I love banh mi.
Oh, it's the first thing that I do when people come to visit me.
So sick.
That's beautiful. You need a good banh mi spot. That's like in the price range and just gets you the value.
For sure. You got to have one.
Call it in and it's ready by the time I get there.
Oh, dude. Yeah, it's so fast.
So it's fire. Yeah. Shout out Fuwa.
My girlfriend and I's favorite banh mi, or just like Vietnamese restaurant, and it's called Bamboo Cafe. And all their food is really good. I either get the banh mi or like, I don't know, pho, obviously. But like they've been closed since December because they're doing renovations. And we've been hitting like, you know, the other Vietnamese spots, and we're just like, dude, it's not the same. You know what I mean? Like they gotta open.
It's gonna be so good when you hit that.
Oh, dude, again, when it comes back, it's gonna hit so hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Maybe tonight we're gonna try the new Thai place, or a Thai place that for the last decade we've just never gone to.
Dude, I hope you try it.
That sounds sick. Yeah,
I love Thai food. I found out for our next like company safety meeting or whatever, we're getting catered Thai food, and I was like, that's sick. I'm down for that.
Sounds amazing.
Right. I'm stoked.
Jazz hands.
Yeah, jazz hands. All right. So this next question says, how do you go about sound design?
I don't know. I mean, I guess a lot of it is like just trying stuff out and just spending hours on like little sounds that may or may not make it to a song or not, you know, just tweaking every parameter. I don't really have anything too fancy as far as plugins go. So it's mostly like using that tool Simpler.
Oh, nice.
So really not sampler, but simpler in Ableton. And I'll just make I'll do a lot of things like where I was talking about just taking my phone around and recording stuff, and I'll email myself files like that. And then I'll take like for example, one was me like kicking around this box of excess drum hardware that I have. It's like old sticks, little rods, like attachments, cowbell, whatever. I'm just like rummaging through it for like 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I converted that audio to MIDI. And then I put that MIDI over it and had it going to like cowbell and woodblock sounds.
Oh, that's wild.
And then I had the regular audio like super gated and like coming in weird. And then I'll take that and like chop that and rearrange that. And then I'll put that into simpler. And then for the live show, I'll have it just divided up to where I can have all these already pretty like designed sounds to just be like a springboard. I don't know if I really have like a set process for sound design. Just playing with playing around.
Just vibing.
And again, it's like you're just trying to figure out like what's the best place to gate the drum with, what the frequency there was going to be. And
not even. It's not even that thought out. I'm just like just kind of like, oh, this sounds crazy.
Yeah, you're like, this is sick.
Playing with that.
Yeah, I'm gonna use that.
Yeah, or sometimes I'm like, God, that sounds terrible. I'm totally gonna use that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just tweaking every parameter that you can.
That's it.
And then automations, a lot of automations. Yeah.
Awesome. Nice. Well, I guess that kind of does it for all of our listener questions that we have here. But
awesome.
Where can people keep up with all things Andy Loebs?
My Instagram, I guess, would probably be the most like actually updated thing. And that's just Andy_Loebs, Loebs. And there. I'm on Twitter, but I don't really use it that much. And I should get a website, but I don't have one. So yeah, just the Instagram.
Well, there it is. Follow Andy at Andy_Loebs on Instagram, and keep up with future shows if you're in the area, or buy their tapes. Well, cool. So we have one more question here. It's kind of the biggest one of the show. Maddie, do you want me to take it?
Thomas, I think I'll go ahead and take it.
Go for it.
All right. So, Andy, you're coming back from big old show. You're coming over to your apartment, and you're opening the door with your keys, and you come in, and oh my goodness, there's a little white rat that's just hanging out over there, just on the cord, just making some samples. He's all freaked out, and he runs at you. He's gonna jump in your mouth, but you get to make the choice here: head or butt first, and why?
Oh God.
Oh no.
Let's say but I get to make the choice. I'm not like eating it, right? It's just jumping into my mouth.
Yeah, you come up with your own, you choose your own destiny here.
I guess if I had to, maybe the front, because it would be I don't know. Yeah. No tail.
No tail.
That's a popular answer. No tail. People seem to be afraid of the tail. I would too.
There's this movie. I was raised very religious. Little side plot here, and there was this Christian rock band called the Newsboys, and they had this VHS tape movie called Newsboys Down Under the Big Top. it's the Newsboys are like working at a circus, and there's this scene where two people are sharing a rat sandwich that they had made there, and one of them bites in and goes, "I thought you got the tail." And my sister used to quote that all the time.
Oh, it's a good little line. I know what you mean. Yeah. It's a good zinger.
It's a good line. It's an insane movie. I can't tell you if it holds up or not. But but that's what I immediately thought of. I thought you got the tail. So I guess I would go with the head because of Newsboys Down Under the Big Top. Yeah.
Brilliant answer.
That was a great answer, dude. And I love that story. That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that's all we got for today. Thanks for tuning into TBD on KCSB FM 91.9 every Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. and Net Radio every Wednesday, 7 p.m. This has been Andy Loebs from Philly. Thanks so much for being on the show, dude.
Thank you so much for having me, y'all. Yeah, I really appreciate it a lot. And thanks for all the shout outs on Tabs Out and stuff too. It really means a lot. So